Isn't it rich? Are we a pair? Me here at last on the ground, you in midair. Send in the clowns. What up, everybody? I'm super excited. As you can see, I have now watched the Joker movie twice this weekend, and man, has my opinion changed on it. I have definitely gone from thinking this is just a good movie to it is fucking brilliant, and I love it. So going into this, I don't have any prior comic book experience. I haven't seen the Martin Scorsese movies, so this is just as somebody who knows limited casual knowledge about this character, and it's amazing. The director Todd Phillips, I can't believe this is the guy that directed The Hangover. It's completely different. He deserves every bit of praise he's going to get for this movie because he has matured and grown as a director, and I am so proud of the work he's done in this. Now, I'm going to do my best to keep this under 10 minutes because we don't want this dragging out like all the other times. Also, there will be some spoilers, so spoilers, 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 spoilers. Get the fuck out of here if you still haven't seen the movie. But if you haven't, damn, you need to go watch this movie. Get out there. All right, here we go. So first things first, Joaquin Phoenix's performance is amazing, of course. Now, for me, what was really a standout were some of the dancing scenes. I don't know if he improvised that or not, but there's a scene in particular in the bathroom that is just enthralling. Like the first time I watched it, I was just sitting there like enraptured. It was hauntingly beautiful, and it's right after he kills the three Wall Street douchebags. Um, yeah, he's just in the bathroom and he's just dancing. I don't know if it's supposed to represent him transforming into the Joker or finally finding some confidence or just, trying to make sense of it all through dance. But God, it was so brilliant. And his performance in general across the movie is just great. A lot of the dance stuff is awesome. So many great quotes. Pretty much the whole Murray Franklin show scene is just genius. But I think the biggest one that stood out to me in the movie was the one where he says, "I hope my death makes more sense than my life." That really left an impact on me. Also, an equally powerful line is the part where he says, "The worst part about having mental illness is people expect you to behave as if you don't." I guess maybe it's just my prior experience with mental stuff or mental illness, but I really love that line. I mean, there's tons of great lines in this movie, so you pick and choose. Throw a dart at the movie, and you'll hit something. It's great. But yeah, Joaquin Phoenix, his transformation is incredible. He's got so much range. You really feel for this character, even though he's doing awful things. You understand why these awful things, like how he's got to this place. So that was really good. Also, the soundtrack for this movie is so good. What is her name? Hilder, last name that I'm not going to try to pronounce because I want to respect this person. Did a amazing job with the score. I have already listened to this like on repeat. It does this thing where like it's subtle and you could not notice it, but it's also there. It's like this building madness in the score, but at the same time, it's also hauntingly beautiful at times when it needs to be. But this is like for me, this is the Joker theme from now on. I will only hear this whenever I think of Joker. It's that good. It's insane. So I'm gonna be listening to more stuff from her. She's amazing. Go check the score or the soundtrack out if you haven't already. Other people, Robert De Niro as Murray was fantastic. Pretty much everybody in this who had a like prominent role in the movie did a great job. Penny Fleck as his mother was great. Zazie Beetz was also really good. She didn't really have much to do, but in terms of like the themes, I guess, or the thematic of the movie, her performance was serviceable. It did what it had to do. She wasn't really supposed to be there that much, other than to basically be another catalyst for Arthur having his further descent into madness, as it were. Also, the Waynes are in here: Thomas Wayne, Martha Wayne, and Mr. Brucey himself. I hated pretty much all of that, but I mean, I get that it's supposed to serve the movie in a way, but there's a lot of forced Batman cameos and references in this movie that I don't feel needed to really be in here. They don't really do much for the story other than to, set up the events we already know always happen. Like, for example, there's a scene, so I'm just going to spoil it. The Waynes die at the end of this movie, but Arthur Fleck has nothing to do with it. It's just some random fucking Joker thug that I guess that's inspired by Arthur to shoot them. But I feel like if they were gonna do that, they should have had that relate back to Arthur somehow. I mean, they also do this whole side thing with the Joker and Arthur Fleck possibly being related to the Waynes, which I kind of thought was interesting. Weirdly enough, I didn't want to see it happen, but I thought it would have been a cool twist on all of the mythos if they had followed through with that. Um, Especially the way, if you're gonna do the whole death thing again, that would have really thrown some new elements in there for people to ponder on. But they didn't do that. So it turns out Arthur's mother is lying about his origins of birth, and he's just some adopted nobody. So yeah, that was interesting, but I kind of wish they would have cut that out of the movie. It didn't really add a whole lot to the movie, at least in my eyes. So that's my thought on that. Oh, also, while I'm on negative stuff, the only other thing I can think of that really bothered me in this movie is the ending. I kind of don't like it. So there's a certain point in the ending where he's talking to the therapist, and she asks him what's so funny, and then he says back to her something along the lines of, "I was thinking of a joke." And then she says, "Well, do you want to tell me what the joke was?" And then uh, he says, "You wouldn't get it." And then it cuts to Batman sitting in the alley with his parents dead. It's so fucking good. Like, I love the way it ends there. But then it decides to keep going and shows him like walking out of the room after supposedly killing him or killing her because he's got like blood on his shoes. And then he starts. It's like this slapstick Scooby Doo moment where like he's running back and forth through the halls, like off screen, and then back on screen with the physicians chasing him down the hall, trying to catch him. I just thought that was so goofy. Like, if it had cut to black with the song playing up on the scene right after he said the line, that would have been perfect. But I mean, this is just like a small nitpick. I mean, it doesn't really hurt the movie that much. It's more of a personal thing. But that's the only thing I can really think about this movie at the time that really bothers me. But yeah, this really was the Joaquin Phoenix Arthur Fleck show. It's all about him. You get so much screen time for this character. And again, as somebody who has not necessarily dealt with any of what he's had to go through in this movie, but I has dealt with mental illness in the past, a lot. Some of the times this movie had me tearing up. There were several scenes, especially when he finds out the truth about his mother and his past. That hurt. I mean, there's so many scenes where it's just like, damn, can somebody please reach out a hand to this man? You just see his pain, and it's like, God, you wish you could help. Oh man, so this movie, it really, really hits you in the emotional. Even if you haven't gone in through any of that, you can still. He's relatable. He's relatable. What else do I want to talk about? The cinematography. Oh my God, yes, it's gorgeous. Every scene looks fantastic. The camera work is great. You feel like every shot with the camera has some sort of purpose, or it wasn't. It's not lazy like a lot of other movies where they just a straight shot, or the shot just feels like they threw in a Dutch angle or something because fuck it, like we just think that shot looks cool right here. It feels like every shot is intentional, whether it's like zooming in on him and like the camera shaking, like the scene in the where he gets into the fridge in his house, or the scene where he is in bed and the camera's like zooming in on him from above, or or just how like the movie itself goes from like blue and gloomy like in the beginning as he's like beaten down and like kind of depressed, and it gets way more vibrant and colorful towards the end as he becomes the Joker more and more. Especially on the stairs scene where he's coming down dancing and it's just like the sun is just blazing in the background. Oh my god, it's so well shot. Really hard not to appreciate the way this movie is filmed. And obviously it's hard not to talk about the themes in this movie because they permeate throughout it. And, I find it funny. I'm not really going to like dive into the whole controversy with the critics and stuff because I don't really care. Let them think whatever they want. They're idiots. But I will say this: if you decide not to watch this movie for whatever reason, because you got some sort of stance against it, I feel like that is almost giving the movie a win. Because if you watch the movie, that's basically what it's trying to say. The themes are trying to tell you being like ignoring and dismissing are the wrong thing to do. So it's ironic that people are literally ignoring this movie and dismissing it as, some sort of monstrous experience in the theater and it's going to do all this violence, cause all this violence, when that's exactly what the movie's trying to say. We need to look at this stuff. We need to give these people more attention and look at ourselves and reflect and see what could we be doing more. I look at this movie and I'm like, it's not just Arthur Fleck. It's everybody in this movie. You think it's a real thinker. It's like, how much is everybody responsible for the events of this movie? Because there is no one person to blame in here, So this movie really made me think a lot. I love it. The more I watch it, the better it gets too. Also, there really isn't a whole lot of violence in this movie, so I don't know where people were getting this. There's literally like 3 scenes of violence, and practically 2 of them were already leaked. Honestly, there's only really one where he beats the guy's head to death, which is just deliciously awesome. I mean, maybe I'm a sicko myself, but it was great. That whole scene was incredible with the little guy trying to get to the lock. So there's a little bit of humor in this movie. There's some dark humor, I guess, but yeah, no, not a very violent movie. If you've seen John Wick, Deadpool, or many other superhero movies that came out recently, this is like nothing. So I don't know what people are talking about. If you think this is violent, you need to man up or woman up a little bit there, okay? Because there's been worse stuff in recent times, like this year. So, but that's all I can really think of right now. I don't want this being long. I have to put my thoughts out there because I finally got a decent movie this year that I actually had anticipation for. Like, I was really hyped for this movie, and I really didn't want it to let me down, and I don't think it did. It did everything it set out to do and more. And there were tons of surprises in there as well. And I know people are going to be talking about this for a while because there are so many interpretations and so much to think about and so much to talk about with this movie that relates to the real world that we live in. So, yeah, this is a unforgettable experience. If you have not seen this, go out and watch it and hopefully enjoy it as much as I have because it will leave an impact on you. And if it doesn't, maybe you're crazy too. But yeah, that's been my thoughts on this. The final one I'm going to do with these probably is unfortunately Star Wars. So it's back to shitty shit land with these films. But oh well, what can you do? You get a gold nugget in a landfill of shit every once in a while. So my hope has been restored for the filming industry for now. So thank you, Todd Phillips. And thank all of you for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this review here. I'm going to stop talking now because I don't want this to get into 10 minutes, as I've already said like 50 times. All right, thank you guys for watching. You have a great day. Go watch this movie. And remember, we are all clowns.